All right, we are live yet again. And let me get my Amazon one going. These are always fun ones for me to do because I just enjoy doing these unboxings or these unwrappings, and you all seem to like it, even though it doesn't do well as like a recorded video on the channel. So what I thought I would do with these, now we're live on Amazon too. Oh, shoot, I gotta make this public on my YouTube channel. Hang on a second, everybody. I gotta set this to public, otherwise nobody sees it. So let's make this public, and hopefully it sends notifications because it sets it to unlisted by default, and then everybody misses it. So hopefully we will see everybody pop in here in a second. So what we're gonna do, and I'm just waiting for my YouTube crowd to come in here. What we're going to be doing is unwrapping or opening up this magazine from the Video Game History Foundation. And I subscribe, this is a fun thing that we do. So we like to look at retro games here on the channel, right? And every month, I subscribe to this, I'm paying for this. Every month, in exchange for a donation, the Video Game History Foundation sends out these really cool retro magazine blind box deals. So I don't know what's in here. I just know that it's going to be an old retro video game magazine. And unfortunately, at the moment, it looks like my YouTube audience does not know that we are live streaming. So let me just make sure that this stream is visible. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So I think people will start shuffling in because my usual crowd who usually pops in whenever we do one of these things is not yet here. So we'll just let this kind of fester for a little bit. But so what happens is they send you a magazine from their archive. Now the Video Game History Foundation is a nonprofit that is kind of just, I guess, out recording the history of this art form. And so they have a bunch of magazines just sitting in I'm guessing a storage container somewhere. So these are magazines they have duplicates of. So you subscribe to this, and then every month you get this envelope, which looks like you're getting some other kind of magazine. It's not, it's funny, the mailman dropped it off, and I'm like, it's not what you think it is, okay? But they drop off a magazine, and you don't know what you're going to get. But it's some magazine from the 80s or 90s. And so far, we've done okay. This was last month's. This one wasn't great. This one was like from the 2000s. So I actually had ordered the 80s and 90s version, and I don't know why I got this one because this was like 2000 and something that this one was from, because it had like PlayStation 2 stuff. But the first one we got was great. So this was Game Pro. And this one came in May. This was from May of 1995. And this is like my favorite period of time for video games because this was when we were transitioning away from the 16-bit stuff to the more powerful consoles. And this was like a really fun time period because there was a lot of fun new things happening, right? And so I was really engaged with the video game scene at that point. I was a freshman, but at this point I was a freshman in college, wrapping up my first semester. So we were excited about all this stuff because I had a 3DO that I bought right when they dropped the channel or dropped the price. So this was a good one to get. That was the first one I got. So we haven't opened it yet, by the way. So this is still in the envelope. And I inadvertently forgot to set the stream to public when I set it up. So now I got to wait a few minutes for all the YouTubers to make sure we know that we're in there. I want to thank Tim Shadler for your super chat contribution. That is very nice of you. I appreciate that. And Brandon Wallace is here. And yes, you know what's funny? I was having a phone call with somebody and I used that line. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Hey, Dava. Dava's here. And hello from the Ukraine. You don't need, look, your viewership is what matters. So thank you for popping in. I wish I could pronounce your name. I cannot read what that says for your name, but I'm assuming Tahar? Let me know if I got that right. But thank you for coming in and watching. I really appreciate it. William Wilkinson is here and BB Garnett is here. Yeah, I think now like the notifications are starting to go out. So we'll go through some of these things. And I thought like before we start, so I've been buying these coffee table books of video game history. So I've got a bunch of them, and I've been collecting them. I have no place to put them, but I collect them. So I'd put them upstairs with my kids, but they tend to mess up everything upstairs. So, so this is a book that I bought a little while ago. I was an Atari 2600 kid, right? As we all were of a certain, all boys and girls of a certain age, and our parents were into Atari. And as you all know, the Atari games did not have the best graphics back then, but the artwork on the cartridges and on the boxes was amazing. And if you're into old video game artwork, this book is a great gift. Like if you're looking for, because I think we're past Mother's Day now, but if you're looking for a Father's Day gift, this, and your father enjoyed Atari, or you as a father enjoy Atari, ask your kids to get you this, because this book is awesome. So you can see like these awesome detailed, this was Missile Command, right? You can see the awesome detail of the artwork. I think that's asteroids down there. But this is what the games look like. You know, so you really had to use your imagination to go from that to this. Of course, now the games look like this in virtual reality and all that good stuff. But this book is awesome. I'll show you a couple of pages and then we'll go and open things up. Chris Green remembers Game Pro magazine. Yeah, I do too. I was buying those mags at the mall. Tanya, got it. Well, thank you, Tanya, for popping in. I appreciate your viewership. And never feel pressured to give any money. I appreciate the super chats, but what I really am here for is views and maintaining a subscriber base. Connor Lavoie is here. Hello, Connor. Good to see you again. Jamie is here. Hello. Matt Green is here. Dee Johnson is here. Hacking Made Fun is here. Seeing a lot of familiar faces. And let me know in the chat if you got notified about the stream. I forgot to set it public when I started it, but it looks like people are coming in. So we're going to open this month's magazine in a few minutes. I just want to give it some time to get the rest of the crew in. And this is like the 5th one of these we've done. So you can watch 4 hours of this if you click on the playlist that I set up for it. But this book is called The Art of Atari by Tim Lapetino. I've got an affiliate link if you're watching on YouTube in the video description so you can check it out. And it is just a beautiful book of design. You know, beyond the video game stuff, if you appreciate good design, the book's layout is beautiful. There's a lot of history here. They have the consoles. We looked at the video game console book a little bit earlier, but like here's Pong. Look how cool this stuff is, right? And they've got all the video games photographed with their artwork, and then you can see what the game actually looked like. So here's like all these beautiful images, and then the game looked like that. But it was fun. We enjoyed it. Indy 500. Yeah, this one, I had this game. You had to use the paddle controls for this. Look how awesome the artwork is. And now the games look like this, you know, in this era. So it's neat. All right, good. So everyone's getting the notifications. And this is one of my fun streams. I don't make a recording from this. I just put them up on the live stream playlist. So hello from Belgium. Trapexit got the notification. Great. G-Man is here from Oklahoma. Jamie got notified. Matt got notified. George did, but he changed his notification settings on Android to make noise. Oh, cool. Sorry for making your phone beep. Hello, Recipe Bob. Connor says it's cool. Yeah, this is good stuff. And Rob Hanks is here from Yorkshire in the UK. Got the notification. Perfect. So at least people are getting notified. And it looks like we're starting to get a few more people in. So yeah, this stream does pretty well on Amazon, believe it or not. People like to watch this stuff. Because yeah, if you're looking for a book, like for a Father's Day gift idea, this is a great book, I think, for Father's Day. And if you have a mom, Mother's Day too. But Mother's Day already happened. That's why I'm suggesting Father's Day. Because my wife was a video game player as a kid. So it's not just for men. Look at this. Isn't that cool? That's what I love about this book. It's just, you know, they've got the original artwork here, so you can really get a good, you know, because everyone threw out the boxes, right? Like this by far, I think the Missile Command guy is my favorite. That's on the cover here. Isn't that beautiful? And I love Missile Command. These cool images there. I've had a bookmark. I must have been reading through it. Isn't that awesome? Here's Berserk. Isn't that cool? So it's neat. It's really neat. Yeah, so I'm trying to determine if the low view count is due to, if it's due to just being a Saturday afternoon in the US, I don't know. So, or if I screwed up by not making it public too soon. But I think if you're getting notifications, it's good stuff. So I think we're okay. See, if Romeric comes in, because Romeric is here for every stream I do. So if he's here, I think it's getting out there. I think just people are busy doing stuff. I usually do these during the week, so it's I don't know how YouTube decides who gets to see this. But Amazon, we've got a good number on Amazon, actually better, a good number that I'm usually looking for, so I'm happy so far. Rob B says his former teacher is in that book, Warren Chang. Awesome. Yeah, some of the artwork here is just amazing. This is Centipede. But you see like how it's just so neat to just see how these games are interpreted. Then you've got like a sketch concept. Isn't that cool? Look at that one. This one's another Defender one. This is cover art for Defender on the 5200. So like depending on the system, you got different artwork. There's the infamous E.T., right? It turns out that game was better than people gave it credit for. I think somebody rewrote some of the code to fix some of the bugs in it. And then a friend of mine actually bought one of the cartridges because it was this long-standing myth that there was a bunch of cartridges dumped in a landfill after Atari went kaput. And it turns out they were really dumped in a landfill. So they dug them up, and you can buy cartridges that were in the dirt. There's Pac-Man. I remember trying to get Pac-Man. It was hard to find because everyone thought, Pac-Man was such a big deal. Yeah, look at this. This is great. I mean, honestly, this is more than just artwork. I mean, you get a good history of everything. I mean, it's just such a great book. So this is definitely, like I said, if you're looking for a Father's Day gift, this is great. We had this game. My sister used to play this, Alpha Beam with Ernie. It had a special controller. We had both of these, Big Bird's Egg Catch and Alpha Beam with Ernie. Now they play these games on their iPads, right? Same kind of thing. Isn't this great? Look how beautiful this is. So, yeah, this is a great book for people that like artwork. It's really good stuff. Luther says, my stream is competing against Clive Mitchell, Big Clive Live. I'm always competing against somebody, so it's okay. I'm a lowly little YouTuber, but that's fine. You all are here. That's all that matters. Paul got it in New Zealand. View count on Amazon is about 50, at least according to my app here. So that's good. That's actually not bad. If I was doing something, what's interesting, I found for me on Amazon, if I pop on around 2 o'clock, that seems to be the best time for me to do one of these streams. It's really interesting how that plays out. So Nick F says, the museum website was down a week or two ago when I was watching your old magazine vids. Can't check it now due to limited computing. Can you see if it's up? Let's take a look. So Video Game History Foundation. And yes, let me see. Gamehistory.org is the website. And they have a Shopify site where you go from there. Hello, Roger P. Just popped in on Amazon. So they still have the blind box, but you can't subscribe to the 80s and 90s anymore. So I think they ran out of 80s and 90s magazines. I think everybody that subscribed was somebody that wanted that. Here's Stargate. Look at how cool that looks. Jet flying through the thing. I mean, this is just awesome stuff. And then did a whole thing on industrial design. Look at this I mean, seriously, this is like I mean, you think about the work that went into this book. If you're into Atari, I think this is like kind of the quintessential, even like the whole approval process. They got graphics and copy sign-offs, all the procedures that they went through in the company. Just really good stuff. And it's written by Tim Lapatino. He definitely did his work on this. I couldn't even imagine doing something so complex. Yeah, so that's the Art of Atari book. Like I said, great Father's Day gift. Or just a gift for mom if it's her birthday or something. So Rob Hanks says that the first game that he played on the Atari was either Monaco GP or F1. Pretty sure it was Monaco GP. I know the first game that I played because I can remember things like way back. So it was before, so we got the Atari probably, I want to say it was like 1979. When did the Atari 2600 come out? Let's see, it was released in 1977. So I was born in 76, and I think my dad bought it when I was about 2, because I specifically remember being in the car with my parents, driving around. We had these department stores near where I live called Caldors, or Caldor, but we always called it Caldors. And we drove around to all the different Caldor stores trying to get this Atari 2600. And I remember like waking up in the car. I think we were in like Waterford, Connecticut, or someplace far away from where we lived. And then I came down in the middle of the night. My father is there in front of the TV playing Atari Bowling. So that was the first Atari game that I can recall. But I was into that Atari like you wouldn't believe. Yeah, I think this is a big problem, George, because I cover a lot of different stuff, and I think I really suffer from that. I'm not sure how it decides who gets to see what here. TrapXet still has his 2600 VCS console and games from when he was a kid. Pac-Man, Defender. Yeah, I got a big stack of games. I don't think I have my original console. I do have a Atari that a family member left with us a while ago. And then I've got the ColecoVision still. I got most of my old stuff, but I have cartridges. I have a bunch, like those cartridges on the shelf. Here, I'll pull the thing off here. So these, actually I only have, where'd they go? I thought those were 2600 cartridges, but I guess not. Yeah, there they are right there. So those cartridges right here, those are my originals. And that is a legit 2600 controller. And so that Empire Strikes Back cartridge there, you probably can't see it. But these are what this was actually the one that came with my Atari. And you notice there's no artwork on it at all. So the artwork was on the box, but not on the game. And then they started changing it up a little bit afterward. But like even like my Space Invaders is totally shot here. This is Home Run. This is the baseball game. And then you can see they started to, once they got a little further along, you started seeing some of that artwork. So there's the artwork on there. And then we got Centipede here. Oh, this is, you know who this belongs to? This is funny. This belongs to my friend Rich Blomquist. I got to send him a note. This is how these things happen. Like these games end up with you, and I don't know how it ended up with me. But this belongs to my friend Rich Blomquist. So I've had this now probably for 30 years, and he doesn't have any idea. Rich actually writes for The Daily Show, or used to. And he's married to Kristen Schaal, I believe. So isn't that funny? There's a friend of mine from high school. I'm going to send him a note that I found this cartridge in it's been in my studio ever since. And these are the Activision games. Remember Activision? So Activision broke off from Atari, the developers, because they wanted to get a better cut of the sales of the games, right? So this one is called Laser Blast. And this game I bought during the crash, because I remember seeing this at a store. It was like it cost nothing. It was like $2. So my mom's like, yeah, you can get the game. And this is a blast to play. So it's actually a pretty fun game, Laser Blast. And then, of course, you got Pitfall. This was the big deal. This game everybody was crazy about. What's funny is that they made a big deal about the developers' names, but they don't put the developers' names on the cartridges. But they had their own cartridge style. So the Atari cartridges kind of look like this, and then you had these other ones here. But I got to send this. I got to let Rich know I still have his game. I wonder if he wants it back. I should ask him about that. And then let me get into the other one here. Make sure I don't knock my shelves over while I fix this. And then this game is my favorite. I mean, this is probably my favorite Atari 2600 game, which is The Empire Strikes Back. And this was from Parker Brothers, and they had their own cartridge design. But I don't think there was any licensing that these companies had to do to make their games. So everyone just pumped games out. And the quality was really iffy on these things, and I think that led to some of these issues. Roger P. on the Amazon chat says that Pac-Man on the Atari is so bad. It is, but you know what's funny? Back then, it wasn't as bad, I think, as people think it is now, because it was marginally Pac-Man that you could play at home, and it wasn't as good as the arcade. But I remember sinking a lot of time into it because it was Pac-Man, it just didn't look as good. But the expectation for the 2600 and what it can do wasn't really there. Roger P says I should check out the Retron 77. I need to look at that. I haven't really had good luck with those Hyperkin products, but maybe that one's a little better. I don't know if it's emulating or not. I'll have to check it out. Recipe Bob still plays 2600 and 7800 on handheld emulator. Yeah, it's great. It works great on Mister. It also works really nice on the NES, the analog NT Mini has a core for Atari 2600. And Rob Hank says F1 was the game. So my favorite games from the 80s and 90s, well, that one was really a lot of fun. I loved a bunch of games. I have so many games on Nintendo and Sega. I have a lot of favorites, actually. I should go back in and look at which ones I'm popping into my Mister whenever I boot it up. I've got a lot of favorites on a bunch of different systems. Roger P. wants to know if I like the Game Boy. I definitely like the Game Boy. I had a Game Boy. I got a Game Boy in 1989, actually, right when they came out. Got mine like around November or so. It was a big deal when the Game Boy came out because it was so different. And it was something that you could, because before the Game Boy, you had those Tiger kind of handhelds, just like really simple LED, LCD games or whatever. And to be able to have like a system that had cartridges, interchangeable cartridges, and actually passable graphics and sound. It had stereo sound before the home console did, really. It's kind of funny. Luther says that Tim Lapatino also, oops, I lost your graphic there, also compiled the Undisputed Street Fighter. Well, that must be his latest one. I'll have to check that one out. I mean, it's just a great book. It really is. Mark Smith is here from Laurel, Maryland. Yeah, we're going to open this up in just a second, everybody. I think we're about that time. So my kids are coming back with my wife in a little bit. I've got got like an hour and a half where I could just chill out, so I thought I'd pop on and say hello to everybody. Trapexit has his original copy of E.T. Yeah, I think the complexity of the game hurt it because there was some layers to the gameplay that I think people lost sight of. I was one of those people. I got the game like, what is this? You know, it was a little bit more than I think people were ready for. Roger sold his Atari 6 months ago. It was sitting in the original boxes for years, and somebody could have made more use for it. Yeah, I think there's a good collector's market. Well, I think a lot of collectors are into Atari because it is not that expensive to collect for. Because everyone's focused on the NES and the things that had a broader customer base back in its time. So I think there's definitely bargains to be had. Frank Castle enjoyed Kaboom. I believe that was an Activision game too. Connor likes Pac-Man on the 2600 or just Pac-Man in general. Let me know. Recipe Bob played Combat all the time. Yeah, that was a two-player only game. You had to play that two-player. Oh, it looks like Tim Lapatino wrote the forward for Undisputed Street Fighter, but not the thing there. My favorite Atari game, I would say because partly because I still play it like every once in a while, is The Empire Strikes Back. I think that one is probably my favorite, even though there's a few others that I like. Rob Hanks says, was Paperboy ever released for Atari? Not on the 2600, but it was ported to everything else. I first got it on the Game Boy. That port was pretty good. I think the Sega Genesis port of Paperboy is probably the best home console port of it, but it's available on everything. And I think everybody's got a Atari 2600 in their basement. Kevin Hawthorne, good evening. And for me, it's good afternoon. Yeah, I think one of the things with the Strapix said was Empire Strikes Back was one of my favorites. I have it, but it was so repetitive. I think a lot of the games were kind of repetitive too, although it didn't get much harder, did it? I guess as you progressed, right? So the other games got harder as you progressed. But really, these were arcade, as you know, they were arcade ports, so it was just trying to rack up a score, I think, is kind of where they were going with those. Prophet, good to see you. Roger says, never used it for games, only started that on Windows 98. I'm guessing, oh, your Atari computer. It must have been an Atari computer. Yeah, I've never booted it up, but my wife, when my wife and I got married and she moved out of her mom's house, she had a bunch of stuff from her dad, a Sega CDX we had. We have an Atari 800. I'd never turned it on, but it's in my basement. So I'm going to try to check that out and see what's there. Dava's birthday's tomorrow, everybody, so wish Dava a happy birthday. Connor wants to know, do I still have a Game Boy? I do. Actually, it's on the other side of the room, but I have my original Game Boy is, I don't know where it is. I think it broke. But I have a Game Boy Color that plays all the Game Boy games. So that's my Game Boy. And I've got a flash cartridge for it, too. So it's kind of fun to have that. Matt Green says the view count is up. I haven't checked it. Let's see. Yeah, we're in good shape now. We're about 62, and I'm about 50 on Amazon. So I think we're almost ready to start opening up this magazine in a second. Mark Smith says his first game was a Pong clone. That's right. You buy the Pong clones for the TV. There was a cool firefighter game on the. Yeah, there was. What was the name of that game? I think I remember that from something. Trappist Thoughts thinks that Space Invaders games, Space Invader-like games, Phoenix was underrated. Venom Snakes wants to know about Duck Hunt on the NES. Yes, I do like Duck Hunt. And actually, you know what you all should do after you're done watching me? John Riggs just did a video ranking all of the light gun games on the NES from worst to best. And my favorite light gun game on the NES, like Duck Hunt's a given, everybody likes Duck Hunt. But my favorite is a game called Freedom Force. Check it out. It's from Sunsoft. It is so hard, but it's a lot of fun. And I think it was actually like the better. There was a port of Operation Wolf, which wasn't a good port on the NES. But I always considered like Freedom Force to be how an Operation Wolf-like game would work on the NES. So that game's a lot of fun. All right, so what are we going to do when we open this up? So inside the envelope, we're going to have something like this. And so what they do is they have it nicely wrapped up here. You get a nice piece of cardboard to stiffen the magazine and keep it safe. And they give you a certificate of authenticity. And so far, every magazine they've sent me has been in really good condition. So I've been very impressed with the quality of these things. And you know, and the donation goes to a good cause, which is preserving the history of this art form, kind of like the book we were just looking at. So that's why I like looking at that. Roger wants to know what came after the Atari. There's a lot of, you know, what's funny is during that period of time, there was a lot of stuff all out there. There wasn't, like now we're you know, there's a generation and each system kind of upgrades at the same time, right? What happened back then, I went from, and not every kid went in the same path. And remember, the marketing was different too. So everybody in my group of friends, we all got ColecoVisions, because Coleco was a real big step up over the Atari 2600. But in some other parts of the country and other neighborhoods, sometimes people got different games. But that was what I went with, was the ColecoVision. I really like the Coleco. I still play the Coleco games. They're a lot of fun. MSX Droid is here. Good evening. And you know, it's funny. I don't know if Venom Snakes, you're not Roger P on the other thing, but I just got Roger P on Amazon asked me about, oh yeah, he must be the same person, Smash TV on the NES. I never played it on the NES. I did play the arcade one quite a bit. So we'll see what it is. BB Garnett's going to guess January of '94 for this one. We'll have to see if that holds true. We will see. Jamie wants to know, is Dig Dug only for the computer? And I think it came out on everything. I'm pretty sure there was a port of Dig Dug on the Atari too. Did I have a Master System? Yes, I did have a Master System. In fact, oh, it's not up on the thing. It's in my back closet over there. But I did get one because a friend of mine had one, and I was blown. It was actually, when you looked at the graphics that the Master System could do, at the time they were noticeably better than the NES, believe it or not. But I think Nintendo really was good at gameplay, which is why that worked out really well. All right, here we go, everybody. We're going to open it up. Those muscles. So what do you all think? I'm going to pull it out upside down so the mystery continues. So let's take some guesses here. What do you all think this is going to be? I'm going to give it like 30 seconds before I flip it over. I'm going to try this name. Ayanuddin Ahmed. So Ahmed I can get. Ayanuddin. Let me know if I got that right. I probably did not. But let me know how I did on that. Yeah, I think Smash TV on the SNES was definitely the best. And Mr. Z went from the 2600 to the Sega Master System, then to the NES. Interesting. I had both an NES and a Sega Master System. I had the 3D glasses on it. That was really cool, too. That was really fun. All right. So I'm waiting for some guesses here. So then once I have some guesses, I'll see who's right. So make your guess. So guess the magazine and or the date before I flip this over, just to drag it out a little bit more. Now, Roger P. says on the Amazon chat that the Master System was not that popular over the NES. Here in the US, that is true. In other parts of the world, the Master System was the dominant system. It's kind of funny. Like Brazil, Sega was huge in Brazil, for example. All right, Recipe Bob says, Crash, September 1984. I don't even know if there were game magazines in quantity back in 84. We'll have to see. All right, so we got another one here. George says December of 1989. That would be great, because I am really looking for, I have a few PDF scans of like 89, but so far we're just like in the 90s right now for what we've received. So getting something from the late 80s would be great. And then Mr. Z says EGM 1992. Venom says Nintendo Power. All right, we're good. We're getting some good dates here. All right, I'm going to get a couple more, and then we're going to flip it over and see what it is. It feels, it doesn't feel all that thick. And remember, last month we got like a more recent magazine. So we'll have to see if this one holds true to that. All right, here we go, everybody. EGM December 95 from Frank Castle. Let's see. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Game Players, Nintendo Guide. This is, what's the date on this one? Mega Man 4. So Legend of Zelda Super Secrets. This one actually doesn't look too bad. What's the date on it? Volume 5, number 1. This is good, actually, I think, because I think it's in the era that I like. Because Game Players magazine actually was the first non-Nintendo gaming magazine that I purchased as a kid. And this quality is very good on this once again. Really nice. Yeah, this is the real deal right here. I bet you this is probably, what, like 89 or 90? 91 maybe? Let's see. Because we're seeing a lot of Game Boy. So it was after the Game Boy was released. And I apologize for the reflection here. So there's some Super Nintendo games. So it's got to be like post-91. Let's see if we have a date of publication. There's no date anywhere on here. I'm guessing they would release these periodically. Oh, January. Oh, this is great. January of 92. So who said 92? Luther Gaylord said, all right, so I have two here. April of 92 was Luther Gaylord's guess. So whoever guessed 92, I'm going to say is in the realm here. Mr. Z also predicted 92. So you two are the winners of nothing today. But this is great. I'm happy with this one because I like this era also. Because so let's see, 92, I was a sophomore in high school. This is January of 92. Actually, let's see. I think I was maybe a freshman in high school at this point. I graduated in 94, so maybe I was a sophomore. But this was right at the, in my console gaming period. Although I was doing a lot. Oh, talk about Paperboy. Here's, these are ports of Paperboy for the Game Boy, the Nintendo, and the Super Nintendo. And it's funny because I remember seeing stuff about Paperboy for the Game Boy, and I said, oh, it looks like such a fun game. And you want to hear some weird stuff? Like, I can remember some weird things. I remember when I went to the mall and bought Paperboy for the Game Boy. I just remember the day that I bought it. I think I was with my mom. I think she let me take a day off from school. I think it was my birthday or something, and we went up to the mall and I bought Paperboy. I had a lot of fun with Paperboy on the Game Boy. Some letters here. So Tropics makes a good point about Brazil and this Sega Master System, right? A Brazilian company licensed the hardware, but I think Europe was pretty popular in Europe too, right? So it's funny. Yeah, how ironic we got the Paperboy there. Venom Snakes, have I ever tried Paperboy on the Nintendo 64? I have not. I should try to check that out. And Roger P. says Tetris is his favorite game on the NES. Here's a bunch of letters, I think. Oh, these are news and previews. These are like some upcoming games. And they have the best sellers from Babbage's down here. So the best sellers from Babbage's so this is 1992, right? Super R-Type for the Super Nintendo. Was that the game that they just sped up with a hack, right? Super Mario Land on Game Boy was still the top seller, like 3 years after it came out. F-Zero, Super NES, was number 3. Tetris on the Nintendo was number 4. And this was October of 1991 was where they were getting that list from, which is kind of odd. Here's some letters. Wouldn't it be funny if like I wrote a letter to one of these magazines and didn't remember that? And here's a game that was licensed by McDonald's, the McKids. Does anybody have those Burger King games for the Xbox 360? I've got 2 of them. It's Power Blade, The Hunt for Red October. D-Force, Seek and Destroy. This would have been one of my games that I'd like to get. This is like a shoot 'em up kind of thing. Just try to beat the Addams Family at their own game. And it looks like this was a TurboGrafx game for the CD. So this was 92, so it's about right. They were still trying to get that system sold. And Sega was killing them in the US with the Genesis. Mega Man 4. I don't recall playing Mega Man 4, because I think at that point I was all in on the Sega Genesis. That was my thing. And actually, I was also into PC gaming in a big way around this time also. I had Wing Commander was like my favorite game. That was awesome. Nick F. has all 3 of the Burger King games sealed. Awesome. Those might be collectibles. Recipe Bomb has Cool Spot. That was the 7-Up game, right? And BB Garnett had MC Kids. And Sneak King was the one that I had. Yep, 7-Up was the one there. So these are all the bosses that you will encounter in Mega Man 4. Yeah, Mega Man 2 is the one I spent the most time with. Hey, here you go, Space Shuttle. Look at that. I don't even remember this one. It's like a space shuttle simulator. Isn't that cool? I had this game on the Apple II that I used to spend a lot of time with called Project Space Station. I don't know if you all remember that game. I actually imaged the disk of my space station that I was playing with as a kid, so I still have that. There's some more Mega Man 4. Double Dragon Explosion for your NES and Game Boy. So you've got Double Dragon 3 on the NES, Double Dragon 2 on the NES, and Double Dragon 2 on your Game Boy. Look how cool that looks. Tiny little screenshots. Small enough that you really can't see any detail. But the artwork, right? Come back to the artwork. Gotta have the artwork. Shoot the Thrill, Vice, Project Doom, American Sammy Corporation. And if I'm not mistaken, American Sammy is who ended up buying Sega, right? Vice Officer Quinn Hart is on assignment unlike anything he's ever seen. Weird bodies are turning up dead. Top secret weaponry is missing and organized crime is at an all-time high. But Hart's up against something more than the mob, street gangs, or even hostile terrorists. A new force has risen, and Hart finds himself plunged into a conspiracy of terror. It looks like it's got like a driving thing. I never played this one. Vice Project Doom. So it's got like a Spy Hunter kind of driving thing. Got like your Contra-style shooter there. That's pretty cool. This is a good one. I have to say, like out of all the ones that I got, I would rank this number 2 right now. And the condition of this one is spectacular. I mean, it's real. Like this feels like it just came out. Like that's how good this feels condition-wise. Electronics Boutique. So you wanted to know what Mario 3 sold for back in the day? $50. That was one of the more expensive games. And the Super Nintendo game's $54. Now this is $1992, right? Game Boy, $87.99. So what is that today? So $87.99, 1992 in 2021. So the Game Boy, if you were to buy, if let's say it was priced by today's, yes, that's about $167 is what you would pay for a Game Boy today if it was priced the same. And this is why these games always felt so expensive to me. $50 in 1992 was $95 today. Isn't that crazy? So that's why these games were so hard to come by. And they were expensive. They weren't hard to find. They were expensive to buy as a kid. Trap Exit, I think, yeah, this is widely, I would say that's probably right. Mega Man 2 and 3 are the best in the series, no doubt. BB Garnett had the Cheetah game. That's right. A lot of those snack food characters made it over there, didn't they? Venom likes the old Castlevania games. I agree. The one on the PC Engine, and PC CD. I've been playing that on my Mister. It's great. Music is awesome. Roger P says you have to rent games back then. Yeah, I rented a lot. Ryan had a PS1 as his first console, and Game Boy Color was his first portable. Grew up in the 90s. My brother grew up so I grew up in the 70s and 80s, mostly the 80s, because I was a kid in the 80s, and my brother grew up in the 90s. So we had very different experiences. His first game console was a Sega Genesis, which is funny. So Nick F says, watching your magazine live streams, I can't wait to get my official Xbox magazine out of storage to see what's on the demo discs. Oh my goodness, yeah, I was subscribed to those. I thought that was one of the best things about those CD consoles, that you'd have those demo discs. Remember, we did that 3DO one the other day. I still have some more to do. I just got, oh, so by the way, on the 3DO, so I have a cousin in Tokyo, Japan. And we had a family Zoom call a few months ago, and I said, have you ever heard of Super Potato? He's like, what the heck is that? Now, my cousin is like, he got me into Star Wars as a little kid, like into computer games, like he's into all the same stuff I am. So he's an attorney in Tokyo. And I said, go to Super Potato and see if you can find me this 3DO. So the 3DO console from Panasonic, in the US, it basically takes the 240p video and turns it into 480i, and it looks lousy on modern TVs, even if you have like a nice scaler. And so in Japan, they released one with a switch to disable that 480i conversion. And I think that's what it is. It's interlaced. It's doing something that's making the video look poor. So he found it at the Super Potato for not that much money, but we can't get it back right now because I guess the shipping is all out of whack because of the pandemic. So hopefully we'll have that soon. But yeah, Electronics Boutique, by the way, ended up becoming EB Games. So that is who they began as. That's where EB comes from, Electronics Boutique. And I used to do the same thing. I used to go in and spend hours at the game store when everyone else was going for clothes shopping. In fact, my friends and I would go up to the mall to just buy a game and come back down, because that's the only place we could buy the PC games, was at Electronics Boutique at the mall. There's F1 Race on the Game Boy. That's right. That's right. It had like a little a 4-tap thing that you could use with that. Super Mario Land on the Game Boy was $20. Yeah, the Game Boy games were a lot cheaper. So you see, like, they were half the price, and many times half the price of what you'd pay for the NES game. And I think that helped really drive sales, because if you were a kid, would you rather have 2 Game Boy games or 1 Nintendo game, right? And that's why I think the Super Nintendo kind of got people back into the swing of things. Here's Super Ghouls and Ghosts for the Super Nintendo. Pretty cool stuff. And talk about inflation. Yeah, I think the numbers will creep much higher this year, I think, at the rate things are going. We'll have to see. Ryan Cage says, my parents hated games, so we got lucky with the PS1. Yeah, my parents weren't a big fan either, but now I'm doing it for a living, so who's laughing now? Jamie says the first game I remember was Rad Racer. They had a 3D mode on that. They had 3D glasses that came in the box with that. Jeff Gerson from Giant Bomb posted the ad of that on Twitter. Oh, that's funny. Is it the one we were just looking at? Or the... Yeah, I'm eager to get to Japan. I would love to get to Japan. Right, it turns off the, that's right. So there's some weird things that the 3DO does. It turns off the odd field or whatever, and exactly. So it looks a lot better with the Japanese version with the Switch. So I've got one. My cousin has it, but I'm getting it back at some point. Next time he comes over, he's going to bring it with him. So stay tuned. BB Garnett was a Funko Land shopper. Yeah, those were fun because they had a lot of used games there, and actually they were bought by Electronics Boutique, if I'm not mistaken. Ryan Cage says, imagine if Switch games were only 20 bucks. Yeah, imagine that. Nintendo, I'll give this much to Nintendo. They never lower their prices. Even like the games from, you know, the introduction of the Switch, the first ones, they're all still selling full price, right? Which is why I buy them physical, because you can sell them and get a lot of your money back when you're done playing them. Yeah, Super Ghouls and Ghosts was hard. It actually had a lot of slowdown too. David Bound, you went to the same store that I did, because I would go there at the Crystal Mall. That's the store that I shopped at. There was Software Etc., and then there was Electronics Boutique. Software Etc. was next to the pet store, and Electronics Boutique, I think originally was upstairs and they moved it downstairs, right? But that was a big store. And actually a friend of mine worked there for a while. But yep, that's where I would always start at the Software Etc. just because it was a bigger store. They had a lot of stuff there, a lot of, you know, everything. That was such a fun store to browse. That's funny. What a small world, huh? But that is exactly the store that I shopped at. Some agreement on the difficulty of Super Ghouls and Ghosts. BB Garnett, his brother and I loved Rad Racer. You know what's funny? I never got into Rad Racer. I never really liked it, but a lot of people did. So it just shows you how like different preferences play out. So here's an ad for Tecmo Super Bowl. Probably one of the best American football games on that console. And Venom Snakes reminds us that the Panasonic 3DO was $700 when released. It was, and then I bought it when it came down in price. So I got mine for half that. It was like $399 when they reduced the price, and I got one my freshman year of college. Yep, Solar Striker. Actually, Corey, if I am not mistaken, I believe, yes, if you look behind me, I'm not going to touch it because it's going to fall over, but that's my Solar Striker right there. And I think that one my father got for me in Japan when he was visiting Japan. But that was a fun shoot 'em up. I still enjoy that game. And here's some more strategies on Super Ghouls and Ghosts. And you can subscribe. I wonder where this would go to now. Boulder, Colorado. I'm sure it'll be returned if we ship that out. Hang on, I got to cough for a second. Hang on. Okay, all better. It's funny, I like looking at the ads more than the content, just because it kind of gives you a sense of the time, right, and who they were marketing to. This is Toki, looks like a NES side-scroller. Bert wants to know if I ever played the Ultimate games. You know, I never got into the Ultimate games, but my friends did, and I used to watch them play those games at their house. They had such a great amount of pack-ins and stuff with those. And I kind of regret not getting into role-playing games when I was a kid. I guess I didn't have the patience for them. I liked the action arcade games. But I had some friends that were really into Ultima. And I remember like going over to my friend's house and watching them play. Thomas Amfang's first console was a Wii, and he's still nostalgic for it. Awesome. And sorry about your roof there, Roger. Hopefully it doesn't cause much damage. And we'll see you soon. And let me know if I would fix your roof if I could. I don't know how to fix roofs. I'm not very handy, but good luck. Sorry to hear that. Old System made me rage because they were hard. They were all hard, partly because the games were so expensive. You had to get your money's worth out of them. David Bound recalls some kind of Nintendo store. Yes, there was a Nintendo store. It was a World of Nintendo store on the second level, It was across from where the FYE was and the Suncoast movie store. It was directly across, but it was a World of Nintendo store. I think they franchised those. And I remember that store because that's where I bought Super Mario 3 when it came out. They had a ton of them, obviously. So that was a cool place. Here's some more TurboGrafx stuff. Remember the Turbo Express? Is that what they called that one? Yeah. That thing was awesome. I can't underscore. Now, granted, there was a lot of issues with capacitors on this one. But I can't underscore how awesome the Turbo Express was, because it would play the same games you'd play on your television. That was a big deal back then. And so in high school, I was in we had this club called don't judge me here, but I was into these clubs, the Future Business Leaders of America, FBLA. And I got a lot out of that, actually. I really enjoyed the FBLA. And there was a guy that would come to the FBLA. So we had these big, they were like quarterly competitions where we'd all go and there was like business competitions in different categories. And this guy that would be there from one of the schools neighboring to mine had one of these Turbo Expresses. There was a lot of downtime at the FBLA conferences, so he was showing us all the Turbo Express that he had. I think he went into the Air Force after that. And we were all just blown away by it. The color screen looked awesome on it. It was super expensive. And then he had like this crazy adapter so you could play the Japanese PC Engine games. It was really cool. BB Garnett would play Bubble Bobble. My wife was into Bubble Bobble with her sisters on the Nintendo. It's pretty cool. David remembers the Nintendo store had walk-up multi-game kiosks to allow people to try games. Yeah, it was definitely a magnet for... There was like 3 stores that I would go to in that mall. And I don't know if you're still in the area, David, but I stopped by not too long ago I was going through New London and I had to stop for a men's room break. And it was sad just because the mall it's healthier than some malls are, but I mean, from a rental standpoint. But the other day, they went into a planned foreclosure. So Simon's made a deal with their creditors, and they just let the creditors foreclose on the property. So I don't think the Crystal Mall is long for this world. But I remember when it first opened, I think it was like 86 or 87. And that was like a big deal. Everybody was so excited to have like a real mall that we could drive to. It was about 20 minutes from where I lived. So David, let me know if you don't mind telling me like where you lived as a kid. I'm just curious because I was from Westbrook. But we used to drive up to the mall every Friday night when my friend got his license. Every Friday night we went to the mall. So we'd go to the food court, have some dinner, and then we would go to the video game stores, the Suncoast store, and then go home. So I would either buy a Laserdisc or a video game or something, or PC game, and head back home. And there was times when we would just drive up there. TrapExit enjoyed the TurboGrafx 16 and Expressive advertises. My favorite platform. Ironic, perhaps, given I work so much on the 3DO. You know what's funny is I think the PC Engine was popular in Japan, right? I think now, like, the American audience is realizing what we missed because it's had like a real resurgence of appreciation, I think, now. Because back in the day, like, it was not selling very well at all. But I think a lot of gamers now appreciate what was put together there. Let's see here. We're doing pretty good on the stream. Not bad for a Saturday afternoon. And let's see here. Venom Stinks. Neo Geo was the most expensive system back then. Yeah, that was a pricey system. The games were as much as a console was, too, right? Thomas Amfang says, I wish I was allowed to play the tabletop RPGs like D&D. Yeah, maybe that's what it was. I never was into the D&D either. My parents didn't care, but I just never got into it. I wish I did. And Traffic says, unfortunately, the TurboGrafx Express resolution is not as high as a TV, so text was hard to read. I'll give you that. Recipe Bob was... Yeah, people aren't surprised to hear that. I was not an athlete. I did Model UN. I did Future Business Leaders of America. I enjoyed that, actually. It was all those things I enjoyed doing. I did related to that, I did a Junior Achievement Week also, which was a lot of fun. And my group won the contest that we had. It was really fun. So David grew up in Stonington, but had friends. Oh, he had friends in New London and Waterford. Yeah, the Crystal Mall was the place to be, and actually it was close enough to the submarine base, so there would always be Navy sailors in uniform shopping there too. It was always a fun. Actually, I don't know if you how far back you remember, David, but when it first opened in the '80s, you would have these punk rockers going through with like the crazy spiked purple hair and stuff. It was like you picture the '80s. It was that mall. It was just such a like central casting kind of thing. But yeah, they sold off most of their stuff just to get out of the negative, and people are making a lot of money on riding that float down river there. Ever play any video games on SNES or Genesis based on movies? I'm sure I rented them. I don't think I ever bought any. If it was a Star Wars game, I probably did own it. But I think the Star Wars games were only on the Super Nintendo, not the Genesis. I can't remember any Star Wars Genesis games, at least until the 32X came out. And PC Engine was very popular in Japan. Bruce Hall, did anyone like River Raid? I did. In fact, I had, I don't think I had it, but friends had it. And the coding on that game is really clever because they did procedural generation of the maps to fit it into the cartridge space. Look it up. It's actually one of the first women in game developers made River Raid. Matt Green says, look up the J.I. Titan. What is that? Let's see. J.I. Titan simulation. Test your skills in running a business in this old. Oh, that's cool. I'll check that out. I will look at that. Matthew Roy, welcome. Glad you're enjoying the stream. Yeah, we're just having a chill. My streams I try to keep pretty chill. You know, we just either I'm working on something, like we'll have a stream next week of some more laptops that came in. And then this we do once a month, just because this stuff comes in and it's a fun stream to do. It does well here on Amazon as a stream, so it's kind of cool. Venom Stakes, the 80s was metal music. A lot of good music in the 80s. Actually, everything was good in the 80s. David recalls when it first opened, it was so magic and yeah, exactly. And I seem to remember like there was a few stores that opened early. I think Sears and some of the anchor stores were open first, and the rest of the mall opened. And they had that huge crystal chandelier. I mean, it was a big deal. I remember the pizza place. They had a really good pizza. Like it was, the place was just like. I wish I had taken pictures and video of what it was like to be at that mall when it was in its heyday, because it was really a fun place to visit. And Chris, yep, it fit in 4. Now 4K was not the resolution, everybody. 4K here is what Chris is referring to is the memory, 4K of memory. Isn't that crazy? It's a wonderful, real innovative coding effort there to have that amount of levels and do it so efficiently. And Corey says the Sega Genesis is faster gameplay for quick reaction. Absolutely, blast processing, for sure. Matt Green says, our FBLA attended the JA Titan competitions every year. Lots of fun. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm glad FBLA is still around. I got a lot out of it. I really enjoyed that, especially because like people from the business community came and you got to learn a lot about business. It was good. 80s is the best decade ever. Yes, I am with you on that. Absolutely. And you think about like how many risks, like Star Wars, like you could say was the 70s, but it kind of was, really hitting its stride in the 80s. You had E.T., like every movie was unique and different. The Ghostbuster, we don't have a lot of new IP anymore. Although I think we're starting to see that now with the streaming platforms. I think there's some level of risk that they can take on streaming platforms that you couldn't somewhere else. So maybe there's hope, I hope, but we'll see. Now this was Star Wars on the NES, and I was watching, somebody was tweeting about this the other day. Apparently, I think I rented it. This game was ridiculously hard, and to get to like that TIE Fighter level, I guess was like a real heavy lift. That's a cool ad though, isn't it? Darth Vader, look at that. I mean, you could sell something today with that ad. A force stronger than your parents doesn't want, wait, let's read this. A force stronger than your parents doesn't want you playing this game. Okay, Jedi Knight, here's your chance to rescue Princess Leia from certain death. Man the gunnery of the Millennium Falcon and pilot your own X-Wing down the trench of the Death Star, home base to a few 100,000 fully armed stormtroopers and the Lord of the Imperial Fleet himself, Darth Vader. He's armed and ready. The question is, are you? So there you go. So that was a late release, because I don't remember there being a Star Wars game on the Nintendo at all until I think this one came out. Here's some more on, they really did a lot on Super Ghouls and Ghosts here. And here's F-15 Strike Eagle for the NES, a flight simulator for the NES. You can imagine how difficult that might have been to code, huh? There's Tailspin. This was a one of the Disney afternoon cartoons, right? And I think this is part of that Disney afternoon collection that you can get on most of the major platforms. Chris Ainsley here says 4,096 ROM, 128 bytes of RAM. Yep, that's amazing what they were able to do. And this is one of those games that I'll play every once in a while, absolutely. It still holds up. A good game is a good game, right? It's all about gameplay. MSX Droid played it on the MSX. We would expect nothing less from the MSX Droid to play it on the MSX. I played it on the Coleco a little bit too, I remember. Thomas owned a 3DS and adored Super Mario 3D Land. Yeah, I'm playing, actually my daughters and I are playing 3D World on the Switch right now. We're really enjoying that game. Having a lot of fun with that one. It's chaos when my two daughters play with me though, because like they can't, they keep running in the opposite direction as me and everything gets crazy. But William bought a NES when it came out at Service Merchandise at the Brazos Mall in Lake Jackson, Texas. Yeah, I think they were about that $100 give or take for the control deck. I think I got the one with the light gun and the robot. So I think I paid, well, Mom paid more for that one, but. David said, the first time that I ever saw an online service in real-time action was at the Crystal Mall, a demo set up in Sears for Prodigy. That's right, because Sears owned Prodigy. And now we live in the future. How good is that future now, right? And Venom tried beating that Star Wars game, but it was super hard. Yeah, I think that one might be one you get the cheat codes for. And David had this one for the PC. I used to love PC flight simulators. I played Falcon 3.0. I spent a lot of time in that one. And actually, a friend of mine around the corner became an F-16 pilot. I don't know if it was because he played the game at my house or not. I never asked him about that. I was jealous. I always wanted to fly an F-16. I'll keep at this YouTube thing. Maybe I'll be able to buy an F-16 for myself. I'll just get one, get a demilitarized one. Here's Elevator Action for the Game Boy. That's a game that would probably work well on the Game Boy, wouldn't it? BB Garnett says Tailspin was very hard. DuckTales is a real classic on the NES, Venom Snakes, absolutely. Chris Ainsley, Super Ghouls and Ghosts was amazing. I remember playing it for 6 hours on a long-haul flight and beating it. Was that one of those Nintendos that was built into the plane's entertainment system, or did you bring a Super Nintendo on the thing there? Let me know. Luther Gaylor wants to know, do I earn more on Amazon if they watch? So the deal with Amazon is this is an affiliate thing. So if you were to watch and buy something, then I get an affiliate revenue from the Amazon stream. That's how that works over there. So either place is fine. Wherever you're most comfortable is good for me. Let's see. George says, anyone that has a Switch should try Mario Maker. Yes, we've been playing that too. That's a lot of fun. Yeah, and it's good. They have some curation of the levels. Some of the ideas these people come up with are crazy. I like the speed running ones. I feel like a really good, well-designed speed run is good. Corey likes Sonic the Hedgehog 2. That was a great game in '92. Released on Sonic Tuesday was their big marketing push for that one. Chris Eggsy was playing the GBA port of Super Ghouls and Ghosts. I would be nervous about the batteries dying on my GBA going that far into it. David says, I should be able to buy an F-16 one day, but monthly maintenance will probably, yeah. Well, the way I look at it, I'm not a boat person, so if I ever get some kind of vehicle beyond the car, I think having a plane would be fun. I just want to get, so what's funny is we have Block Island and we have Nantucket and Cape Cod, and I think it'd be fun just to get in a plane and fly to Nantucket 45 minutes away, but with a Cessna, and have lunch and come back. That's what I want to be able to do one of these days. I may take flight lessons. That might be my post-pandemic bucket list thing to do. Darkman, the new Dark Knight. I remember, did the Angry Video Game Nerd do something on Darkman? I think he did. And speaking of Ultima, here it is, Ultima Quest of the Avatar for the Nintendo Entertainment System. There was a lot of PC ports going on at that point, and computer ports, because there were so many Nintendos out there. I just finished up listening to Ken Williams' book about Sierra Online. That was an interesting read. I had the audio book, and he was talking about how they were trying to port Sierra games, adventure games, to the NES. So Thomas Yamfang says, if I want to get into retro gaming, where do I begin? I would say probably a Raspberry Pi is probably the best place to start, just to get a feel for what you like and don't like. I am of the opinion that the Mister is really a great way to go. That's what I would look at. And TrapExit broke out his collection and mounted some of the carts on the wall. Awesome. That is awesome. But I'd say like a Raspberry Pi is a great place to start. I can't find it at the moment because my room here is a disaster. But actually, here it is. Here, let me show you something real quick. So there's a company called Retro Flag that makes these really cool cases for the Raspberry Pi 4. In fact, I think my Raspberry Pi 4 is still inside of this. So this is called the NESPi Raspberry Pi case. And it looks like a Nintendo, but inside, yeah, it's all screwed back together. But inside is my Raspberry Pi 4. You can see all the different parts for it there. And I've got the SD card here to boot it up. I've got the retro thing there. And isn't this cool? I mean, it looks like a little Nintendo. And then, this is what's really neat about it. It comes with this little cartridge, and you can load in a SATA, I have like a SATA SSD in here. And so it uses this, it's a USB to SATA adapter that it comes with. And so you can put in this little SATA cartridge, and you've got like a couple hundred gigabytes to store all your games on there. Isn't that cool? I just think this is awesome, especially if you're playing like some of the CD-ROM titles and stuff. But this is called the NESPi 4. I'll find this on, if you're watching on Amazon, I will add it to my carousel so you can see what this looks like. But yeah, this thing is just awesome. Let me add it to the product carousel. This one works with the Raspberry Pi 4. So this is the NESPi. And these guys make amazing cases. I have another one for the Raspberry Pi 3 that is a Sega Genesis version. Yeah, it's called the Retro Flag NESPi 4. And I just added it to the carousel. And it's only $40. You gotta get the Raspberry Pi. It doesn't come with that. But it is super cool. And I did a live stream actually putting it together. It's a little bit of a project. It takes a little bit of time to get everything, put together. But it is so neat. And you have to install a little script to make the power button work. But what's cool is that when you hit the power button, it doesn't just cut power. It will run a script and shut down the Raspberry Pi safely. So, for the cost of the Pi and this, you're under $100 more than likely. And you've got a really cool little emulation thing to get started with. It's really cool. So I like that quite a bit. David says, a Cessna is a great starter aircraft. Yeah, I've been playing some VR flight simulator stuff for a little bit. I got to do a little bit more with that. But I have a flight school in Chester, not far up the road from me, where they do lessons on a 152, two-seater. So one of these days. William Wilkinson is, Wings is set in Nantucket. You know what's funny is if you ever have an opportunity to go to Nantucket, just hang out in the airport for a little while there. It is talk about central casting, like where the private planes come in. It's amazing just to watch the people coming through there. It's really something. And you'll see these huge jets land. Like I'm talking like Gulfstream big jets, and there'll be 4 people come out. Go figure. Corey said, Wing Commander was the first Super Nintendo game using 3D graphics, but the huge risk in the game is you only have one life. Yes, it is a tough thing. I played it on the PC, and yeah, and if you know, it was really cool because if you lost your wingman, like that person would be out of the storyline also. Like they had a lot of neat branching paths to it. A lot of times they would eject and get saved, but sometimes your wingman would die and they would disappear from the story too. Here's Bugs Bunny. Well, here you go. Somebody was talking about Castlevania. This is Castlevania 2 for the Game Boy. Remember, the first Castlevania on the Game Boy, I thought was great because it was Castlevania and it was portable. And that one came out very early, but it was slow. So this is Belmont's Revenge, which was a faster experience. And so you can see they've got some screenshots here of the game. That's pretty fun. This was good. This was a good magazine, I think, we got here. This whole big strategy guide here. Pretty cool. Uncharted Waters. That's an NES game, maybe? Looks like a little role-playing kind of thing. A lot of detail in here. Review of Beetlejuice on the Game Boy. They rated it excellent with an 8. That's a cool piece of artwork there. Sunsoft, The Return of the Joker for the NES. God, these screenshots are always so tiny on these. I'm guessing it was because of the resolution that they were capturing, right? But look, you can't even see much there. It's like these tiny little thumbnails. But you can see how important the artwork was. Oh, look at this. So this is kind of funny. So remember, this is at the end of the NES's life with looks as hot as 16-bit, right? They're really pushing that. Actually, it does look pretty good. I don't remember playing this game. Maybe some of you do. Flood of Sins is here. Good afternoon. Circus Atari on 2600, one of the best games of all time. It requires a paddle. Don't play with a joystick or a joypad or a mouse. It needs the paddle controller. Yeah, I have those paddle controllers somewhere. I got to go back and check them out. I think it might be at my mother's house. David Bound, when I was given flight sim back in the day, I would often sim the flight from Groton's Airport to Block Island's Airport. I wonder why I spent a lot of time. Yeah, I think it does affect you, doesn't it? Because you know what? You get a sense of the basics. You know what's funny was that I had played these flight simulators for so long as a kid. And then somebody got me a Discovery flight lesson for my graduation gift from high school. And so I took my Discovery flight. And it felt different being in a real plane. But it was funny, like how much of the control I had a sense for. It was really intriguing. It was really neat, just because it didn't feel foreign when I got in the plane, because I had such an idea, from the flight simulators, exactly how things should feel. This is Hyperzone, 6, rated good. Oh, this is that game that kind of looks like Space Harrier, right? Yeah, look at that. I think this one is one of those games that people now appreciate more. Is that? Maybe not. This might be a Super Nintendo game. Okay, yeah, this might have been a Zone. Super NES. Never mind. Never mind. Forget about that. We took some of the worst garbage on TV and turned it into a video game. You've seen the show, now play the game. Captain Planet and the Planeteers. Instead of watching the superheroes stop pollution, you can actually help them. But that's not the game, is it? No. They're not even showing the screenshots of the game. Isn't that funny? Captain Planet. I have a vague memory of Captain Planet. I remember who's the other one? Captain Power. I remember that. Here's R-Type and Kung Fu Master on the Game Boy. Again, more ads. And Super R-Type for the Super Nintendo, the top-selling game at that point, right? As we saw earlier. Super Bases Loaded for the NES. Outstanding, a 9. The Game Handler, the only handheld controller you will ever need. The Game Handler. We'll have to look that one up. Super Spy Hunter on the NES, average, 5. This is when they tried to make a more consoleized version of some of these arcade games. But they didn't seem to like that one. There's Darkman for the Game Boy. Bartmania. Look at that. Bart versus the World. Bart versus the Space. I don't think any of these games were that good, were they? And True Golf Classics. And then, remember the 900 numbers? Call now to get instant Nintendo game hints. $1.25 for the first game and 75 cents for each additional game. And don't forget to ask your parents' permission before making, yeah. How'd that go? Oh my gosh. So you would call, and then it must be like some automated thing, right? You probably didn't talk to anybody. $1.25. At least they weren't charging by the minute like some of those other ones did. You get some Game Players merch. That would have been fun to have some of that. I could be wearing my Game Players hat right now. And here's some Mindscape ads. Gauntlet 2, Days of Thunder, Paperboy 2, Clax, and Marble Madness now playing at a location near you on your Game Boy in your pocket. That's cool. Of course, the screen looks like it's backlit there, which it wasn't, right? And you've got your Bartmania there at the end. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah, this was all pretty sweet. This was fun. This was a good one. Like I said, I think this one, so let's rank them. How about we rank all the ones that I've received? So this one's way up there. I think I would put this as probably number 2. So my favorite still is this one, the Game Pro. You know, it's actually hard to say. I think these are close. And then we got Nintendo Power. So I'm going to put that as probably number 4. This one, I like this one because it had some crazy ads in it. This was the one we got about 2 months ago. But they had like some of these, the one ad that I remember the most on here, this is like a little bit more modern. This is like Duke Nukem, right? So it had some really cool ads. The industry was more mature, so you had better marketing. But this was the ad that I thought was the best at. Like this is why this one's like number 3. You could win like this. It was a total scam because you had to pay to enter, and they did this stupid game of skill to make it so it wasn't a lottery. But if you won, you got all of this stuff, like the projection TV, the home theater system, a PlayStation, a computer, a Nintendo 64, a Sega. Like you won the whole, like, you know, this was like every kid's dream was to have all of this stuff. Oops, and that ad kind of did it for me there. So, yeah, so I would rank them as follows. And then this one this one was not my favorite because it was a little too recent. So there you go. So I'm pretty happy with this month's magazine. That was a good one. I've always been a fan of Game Players because I just had a special appreciation for Game Players because this was the magazine that I remember buying at the Crystal Mall, actually, David Bound. Remember the newsstand place? So I remember going to the newsstand and they had like a whole section in '89 of these video game magazines, and Game Players was the magazine that I bought there because they had all the inside scoop on what was coming out of Japan. So this was a good one. So I am happy with what we got there. So there we go. Thomas has some advice here. If I'm interested in flying, look into a light sport pilot license. You get to fly bigger aircraft and ultralights, and it's significantly easier. Huh. Yeah, we'll see. I think I kind of want to get a private license. I'd love to go fly to some of the New England islands here. So that'd be kind of fun. But yeah, that was a cool. I used to always buy my video game magazines at that newsstand there. I never subscribed to them. I used to just go up there to get them. Chris says the American games magazines were so console-centric, and the UK was more computer-centric. Yeah, there was a bunch of PC Gamer kind of started up in the 90s also, so that was a little bit more PC-focused. And then some of the PC magazines had some gaming sections, but not a lot. But I remember that stuff in there. It was, but yeah, there was definitely more console stuff early on. I think partly because I think the consoles were selling a lot better than the computers were, just because they were a lot more affordable. And David says, do 900 numbers even exist anymore? I don't know. I bet you they still exist somewhere, but no one's calling them. Let's see, I'm going to search on Google for that. So do 900 numbers still exist? Oh, interesting. It looks like, it's Brazil. So let's see, United States. Let's see, United States and Canada. I guess there's some FTC regulations that kind of mixed it up, but it looks like none of the phone companies support that anymore. So AT&T and Verizon, so it looks like 2012, Verizon was the final holdout where you could dial a 900 number, but they withdrew from allowing that pass-through billing. So it looks like the answer to that question is no longer can you dial a 900 number. And David said, yeah, they had everything at that little newsstand, didn't they? Top Gear. So David and I, everybody used to shop at the same mall when we were kids. Hattie is here on Amazon. Yo, what's up? What's up with you? Hello. So, and Recipe Bob used to get the TS 1000 magazines back in the 80s. Cool stuff. All right, well, this was fun, wasn't it, everybody? I enjoyed going through some retro game magazines. Yeah, so we do this every month. I'll keep doing these as long as I keep getting magazines in the mail from them. So this is, let's see, we've done 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is our 5th month of doing this. So I will do these around the end of the month, and we will do this again very shortly. So that is what we're going to do. And yeah, so let me know what you thought in the comments, or I know a lot of you enjoyed this because I didn't seem to lose much audience here as we were going through the magazine. So yeah, fun little Saturday afternoon. So I got to run, everybody, because my kids are coming home with my wife in a few minutes, and I need to be prepared for that because I'm sure everybody's going to be hungry. So we will be back again in the near future. And as David says, those 900 numbers were everyone's worst nightmare. So Heidi wants me to shout out to his friend Nick. So hello, Nick. He's on the Amazon chat there. And enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. I will do so, and I'm sure you all will as well. Yeah, I think I may take tomorrow off. I'm actually caught up. So tonight on the main channel, we're going to have my review of the HP Elite Folio. It's a Windows ARM computer, the one we were messing with the other day. So look out for that one. And then, yeah, we got more stuff next week. So cool. I will see you all very soon, and have a good night, and stay safe, and enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.